freeze. This is really an age-old debate, at least for my entire life. Ursula, you teased it. The Seattle freeze, the allegation that this is a frosty, frosty city, and it is nearly impossible for newcomers to break in, to make friends. Okay, we'll start there. Ursula, I'll start with you.
I think it's used as a crutch. I've kind of gone back and forth a little bit, but overall, I think it is really used as a crutch, especially for those of us maybe closer to my age. I think dating anymore is just harder in general, whether it's here or whether it's anywhere. I think it's, in general, harder to date because so much is online. People aren't interacting with each other as much as they used to, I believe. But I think it's overblown, that whole Seattle freeze thing. And I love that I see that other people agree with me, that it's just overblown. There are other people who don't agree with me, though.
Yeah. So in a new census that showed in 2022, only about 259,000 city residents were born in Washington. So slightly less than 35% of the 749,000 in the city of Seattle were actually born here. So let me just get to that. That plays a big part. A lot, especially around the Puget Sound, Seattle area, a lot of people you're listening right now, either you just moved here at some point or your parents just moved here. It's not like the Midwest or the East Coast where you have generations upon generations, right? Mm-hmm. There's a text message that just came in that was a really good one. I'm not going to read it all, but they talked about this. They said they've lived here for 20 years as a transplant from the East Coast, and my only friends are fellow transplants. They go on to say the theory is that people who were born and raised here have their elementary school friends and their high school friends and maybe local college, UW, Washington State, and their extended family who all live here and never move because it's great to live here. So people that are transplants here, we stay. We don't, because by the way, we believe that it's probably one of the best places in the country, so we don't leave. So we don't have the connections. Let me speak for myself. I've been here 25 years. Mm-hmm. I have no family members that live. All of my family is on the East Coast and or in Chicago. So I'm here solo. My friend groups,
yeah,
I mean, they're kind of from here, but I had more friends in my 20s than I have now.
Okay, so I have a couple of theories.
What you got? One
is I think that the energy that you put out is what you get back. So a lot of times people say, well, the Seattle freeze. And I want to know, what have you actually done to try to work against that? What have you done to reach out to other people? And I was a transplant. I felt the freeze a lot more when I was 13 years old and I moved from a foreign country to a small city called Eugene, Oregon. And I definitely felt a freeze there, you know, and also product of smaller city, and I was in my teens. I was a 13-year-old. That's a tough time to move to a country, a new country, and I had to start from scratch. Mm-hmm. But moving from Oregon to Washington to Seattle, I did not have an issue, and I forced myself. I didn't know anybody here. Mm-hmm. I was 23 years old. I didn't know anybody here. I worked a horrible shift. I worked 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. But you know what? Even though I worked 10 a.m. and it was going to hurt my sleep patterns, I forced myself to go out. That's how I ended up meeting my husband.
Right.
See, okay, I've been here all my life, 41 years now. I've said the opposite, but I think it is real, but, so first of all, Gee, you mentioned some demographics, like only 30% of people in Seattle are actually from this state, period. Mm-hmm. So if you have a hard time making friends with people here, it's not because you're having a hard time making friends with people from Seattle, because we're the minority of the population. So you can make friends with all your fellow transplants. You're bringing your own cultures here. The problem is you are expecting other people to extend the invitations to you and follow up with you.
You, right.
You may go to a place like, let's say Utah, right? Big church communities. They're going to invite you to the picnics. Hey, come to church, come to dinner, that kind of thing. That's not happening here. Like, I don't know anyone who's extending constant invitation. Oh, wait, actually, my wife does this all the time. But personally, I don't. I haven't really made any new friends here since high school. I'm not joking.
But
I'm not joking.
Have you actually been actively trying to make friends and been rejected?
No.
Because I will tell you.
No.
That's it. So my question is, what attempts are you making to actually try to grow your friend circle?
Let me give you some data, though, from Gene Balk. So 42% of adults in the Seattle area get together with friends or relatives less than once per week. So that is second most in the United States, second highest percentage, less than once per week. So we don't get together as much as in other areas of the country.
I'm going to give you guys
I'm going to be, just real quick, I am now in the minority. Apparently, most people on our text line think it is real.
Okay. I'm going to give you a very public thing that happened to prove the Seattle freeze is real. You ready? Here we go. Let's go back to 2017. What was going on during that time? Well, there was a guy by the name of Chris Hansen who had the money. He had everything needed to try to bring the Sonics back. Chris Hansen wanted to build the stadium. He wanted to do all of these things. But for some reason, it was a no. They didn't want to mess with Chris Hansen. But Todd Lewicki, who used to be here before when he was with the Seahawks, he comes with a group, and all of a sudden it was, go ahead, Todd. Go ahead and get that. That in the public eye shows you that there is a who's who type of thing that happens in Seattle. One more thing I want to bring up. Since I'm being personal, let me tell you some of the things that I see in my world. In the Seattle area, there's a lot of people that want to friend up. What does friend up mean? They want to hang, take pictures with, and be with people to get their status up to help them get up there, right? So they'll see these people and they'll be like, they're not really, we're going to hang out with these people because these people are in the know. That happens a lot here in Seattle. That's why the Seattle freeze is so real, because it's expensive to live here, and some people try to get friend to friend to friend to get in these different connections.
Oh.
I'm not making this up. I'm telling y'all the real deal truth. That's why I don't really shake and fake with a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are phony. A lot of people are not real, and a lot of people get in these.
Now that's a, to me,
that may
that's
be
a
true
sweet
in your social circle, and I don't doubt that it is. I don't doubt that at all. I think for people who are, I don't know, more down to earth, I would say you have an ambitious set of folks that you surround yourself with who are high performing, like to go out in public a lot, that kind of thing. But I think a lot of just down to earth folks want some friends, someone to go on a hike with, right? An occasional meal. Come over to the house.
Yes. And you know what I find refreshing is that I have been able to make friends as someone in my 50s, which oftentimes you hear the older you get, the harder it is. Your circle gets smaller. And I think, again, because now my kids are out of the house and I'm able to focus more on myself instead of my kids and focus on things that my husband and I like to do, I think my friend circle is growing. And I come from a position of yes instead of saying no. When people offer to do something. I mean, there are some people who truly do not want to do anything. And I know, and I don't say that as something necessarily negative. Mm-hmm. You know that there are people who hope that they want to get invited, but they don't want to actually go.
Ah, that's a good one. No, that's
right?
a good one, Ursula.
You want to be included.
Ooh-wee.
But you know what?
That's
You're going to
true.
probably back out of that invitation
that's true.
after you at least get it.
You weren't going to go anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I actually put myself in a position of, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to go. And maybe if I don't want to stay there the whole time, at least I show up.
Now, Patricia on Mercer Island says, my husband and I have been here 46 years from the Midwest, and the Seattle freeze was very real in 1978. It's gotten better now, but it has not gone away entirely. The reason why I read that text message is because when I go back to the Midwest in Ohio, if anybody's from the Midwest or you've recently been to the Midwest, then you know. Ursula, it's so much more friendly. But they don't tell you. But people think that, oh, you go to Ohio, oh, you got to watch the racism there. Oh, you going to go to Indiana, you got to watch the Let me tell y'all something. Man, I be vibing with people in Ohio. No, and not even, sometimes I'm not even wearing Ohio State stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want you to think that. But I'm just telling you that Midwest has that in the South as well. It's cold up here in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay, Nick. Nick is in his 20s still, right?
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah. Just on the edge.
Is the Seattle freeze real for you?
I think so. And when you expand more than just locally, I just like, as a general Gen Z perspective, I just feel like the priorities of young people are vastly different than compared to, kids growing up in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Like, our main number one goal is not to get married and have kids anymore. It's to be able to support ourselves primarily.
Oh, this is a matter of survival.
It could be. Yeah, that's a big factor into it.
Okay, I need to just have someone who agrees with me. Vicky from Woodinville, who says, I agree with you. Oregon girl, been in the upper left for 36 years, and very seldom do I ever encounter a person who isn't friendly, willing to have that chat, is kind. I think the Seattle freeze is bogus.
See, that's not the Seattle freeze. That is not the Seattle freeze. The Seattle freeze is this. We are willing to be polite to you. We will say hello. We're very open, warm. We'll have the chat with you, including the person that we don't know that we, maybe meet at the coffee shop. But when it comes to actually hanging out, the Seattle freeze is this. Hey, man, we should hang out sometime.
Every time.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Every time.
But then nobody even bothers to get
Every
a phone
time.
number.
Yeah.
Every time.
Or, hey, give me your number. I'd love to hang out. Oh, sure. But then, they never text you back.
What's stopping you from making a plan?
Because one person in that party knows it's not real. One person,
that part is bogus.
See, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then if you assume other people aren't being genuine about wanting to spend time together, you're that person.
But you know what? Since we're talking about this, I tell you what my plan is next Sunday.
What's that?
I'm going to church next Sunday. Now, I ain't trying to bring up politics and or religion, even though we do all the time anyway. But I'm for real. I plan on going to church next Sunday.
Great.
And I'll tell you why. Because, not saying that, I'm necessary. I just want to be around.
You're looking for more connections.
Collectively, just good people at a certain time. So if it's an hour and a half out of my week where we're just sitting together and we're just hanging out and stuff like that, yeah, I want a potluck. I want to go to a potluck where Sally puts raisins in her potato salad.
Yeah, but Gee, don't you find yourself you get invited to things and you say no? You're very busy.
He's super busy. Gee, you have a great point though, because where do we make friends?
I'm going to call you out. You've been invited to a few parties at my house and you haven't shown up.
Wait, I did. I didn't show up.
You did show up to one of three.
I wasn't at that one.
I showed up to your birthday.
Yes.
Oh,
I bet I'd go back.
I missed the tequila shots.
COVID.
In any case, you know what? If you feel the Seattle freeze is real, try something different and you be the one that pursues some kind of activity with someone you've wanted to get together with.
We should make a Bumble.
Then report back to us.
We should make a Bumble app for Gee and Ursula listeners.
There you go.
Yeah, they can all connect with one another. Community of like-minded people, even if they don't agree all the time.